Hey guys, so today I want to introduce you to my husband Andrew, and then today we're going to talk about 3 things that we've learned since we got married. And we've been married for over a year now.
Year and a half.
Almost 2 years in December. So I'm going to hand it over to him to start the first thing that we've learned since we got married.
All right. Well, so one of the biggest things and the first thing that I had to get used to and learn as a young, newly married young man is that, I was very social. I had a lot of friends. I mean, I still have friends, but I had a lot of friends. I loved hanging out with everybody, the whole family, extended family, friends from high school. I loved to just keep hanging out, but once it was time to get married and start my new family all over again with this one person, I had to learn to, like the Bible says in Genesis, leave and cleave. Not just with your family, but with your friends, your old life, everything you used to do. I had to leave the life of, always wanting to hang out. Hey guys, let's go bowling right now. Hey, let's go, skateboard down a hill somewhere and hurt ourselves. I had to learn that, okay, you've got a primary responsibility to your wife first, your new family. Even if it's just a family of 2 right now, that is my family. It's no longer, my parents, my brother, my sister, and she's just a new part of that. No, I have a whole new family with her, and they're a distant part of that, but my primary family is now her, and I had to learn that. I had to learn that with friends and my previous immediate family, that my new priority is this woman right here. And that's definitely one of the biggest things I had to work on, and it's probably hard for anybody, especially when you have a lot of friends, you love to laugh with your friends and do all kinds of crazy stuff, like go bowling at 2 a.m. and stuff like that. And you can't do that. Yeah, you can't leave your wife go bowling at 2 a.m. when she's all alone at home. So you got to learn how to live in your new family, and you have to learn how to treat it like it truly is your new family, your new priority. I mean, it's mentioned 3 or 4 times throughout the Bible. There's several different areas where it's mentioned a man must leave and cleave to his new family. He's not a part of his old family anymore. So that's the biggest thing I had to learn. And so I'm going to turn it back over to this one right here.
Okay, so the biggest thing for me that I learned in especially the first few months is respecting your husband. The Bible says that 2 things of respecting and submitting to your husband, and I think usually I'm okay with the submitting to what he says and his final shots and decisions. But my biggest problem was sort of respecting him whenever I was upset. And sometimes whenever I was upset at him, I would go talk to my other friends, just sort of venting about it. Like, oh, I'm so mad he did this and that and whatever. But my biggest problem was they first were not married, so they don't know how married relationships work. And 2, often they have a totally different mindset because either they're younger or don't have experience in certain areas. And I had to learn that I shouldn't be talking about him in that way. And if I did have to speak about the situation, I should be talking to someone who's already married and has experience in that area. And if I am talking about a problem or an argument or a discussion that happened, I need to do so in a very respectful way, because I need to realize that he's not perfect, I'm not perfect, and we really need to focus on working together to fix any problem. I don't need to go talking to my teenage friends, and I don't need to go bashing his name and probably putting him in bad light to other people, especially since he's my best friend and I love him. So why in the world would I want other people to look down on him, especially if they're not married and have no experience and they don't know how to figure out those situations? I don't know how to figure out those situations. So that's why I learned it's a really big, really important thing to go and speak to an older adult and someone who's been there, done that, still working on that. So that was the biggest thing for me, at least, learning to respect my husband whenever he's not around, respecting him to my friends, and yeah, that's the biggest thing for me. So then there's the final point, and I really think it's the biggest thing for all marriages. the biggest thing that everyone needs to understand before getting into a marriage is that marriage is not about your happiness, it's about God's holiness. It is about taking that marriage and turning it into something that is going to glorify God. You know, a lot of people get into marriage because they're in love, or you're my best friend. I hear so many people say, you're my best friend, and I'm like, no, you're not.
Or you complete me.
Yeah, which is wrong.
The way it's supposed to work, and that's kind of what this is all saying, is the fact is there is no one person on this earth that can complete you. It isn't, okay, I was single and I had half of me missing and she completes me. No, there's
God is supposed to complete you.
25% of who you are. Yeah. Then now I'm 50, or wait, did I get that math wrong? Anyway, so basically there's 3 parts of who you are. It's not, oh, I've got this woman, she completes me. That's why, I mean, the divorce rate in our country is like, what, over 50% now. It's because people are thinking, okay, if I can just have this person, they complete me, I'm good now.
And then they're not perfect and they mess up.
So that's not how it works. Like, you know, she was talking about going and telling her friends, you know, like, Andrew left a sock on the ground. Like, does he not care that he's leaving socks all over the place? They stink. And, you know, I'm never going to be perfect. I'm still going to leave a sock on the ground every once in a while, or a dish that's like not clean on a table somewhere, and I'm trying, but you know, it's still going to happen. But ultimately it's not about, okay, because I'm not always going to be able to complete everything she needs. Like I said, I'm going to leave a dish out, but we're not perfect. But it can be a perfect trinity. It can be a perfect, like, you know, it's funny, there's a trend of all kinds of things in the Bible of trend. Yeah, a trend of
triangle.
A triangle, yeah. I love triangle. So, I mean, that sounds bad. But you've got me and you, or, you know, 2 people who love each other, and then you've got a perfect God up at the top here. And the closer you move to God is the closer you're going to move together in this triangle. Everyone's used the triangle analogy. It's not new. We didn't make it up. Everybody talks about it. But it's very important, and it's very good.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing for people to realize is that marriage is ordained by God for a reason. And the biggest thing that we realized is marriage points out all of your flaws, every single flaw. It's like usually 2 people who are very prideful and thinking that they're perfect or whatever, then they come together and they realize, man, this guy is horrible, this girl is horrible, she's messing up all the time. But if you go through it in a biblical way, marriage ends up strengthening you spiritually. You know, if you have a pride issue, it's going to humble you. If you have a selfishness problem, it is going to teach you how to be selfless. If you have a patience problem, it's going to teach you how to have patience. All of those attributes of Christianity and being a disciple of Jesus Christ, it's going to strengthen you to look more and more like Christ. So I think that's something that a lot of people need to realize. It's not about our happiness. Marriage oftentimes isn't even going to make you happy. Okay, there's going to be a lot of times when you're not happy, but marriage in its essence is going to glorify God. It's about helping us as individuals become a stronger Christian, a stronger disciple, and to look more and more like Christ together as a team.
And now, obviously, we've only been married for a year and a half, coming up on 2 years soon, so it's a little over a year and a half.
A year and 3/4.
So we aren't making this to tell you, hey, we know all the answers of how to make a marriage work. There's going to be bumps along the way. There's already been bumps along the way. That's how it works. Neither of us are perfect. But the point is, we have at least learned these things. We have at least been able. Yeah, there's going to be learning from now until 50 years from now.
Yes.
You're just always going to be learning. That's what marriage is. And I've heard it said 100 times that your greatest ministry is going to be your marriage. Mm-hmm. You could be a missionary to Ethiopia your whole life, but your greatest ministry is still to the one you married. And I mean, those people who are, my grandparents is a good example. They've been married for, I think, almost 60 years now, 59 years. That's crazy. I mean, it happens. There's a lot of people like that. But I mean, I look up to them in their relationship, but they're still learning things.
There's no such thing as perfect people. So as long as we're on this earth, there's always going to be room to grow and continue towards that pursuit of perfection. So, yeah, I guess that's all we had to talk about today. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. There's going to be a lot more marriage videos and life videos talking about how we're growing and all that fun stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let us know what you think, and thanks a lot.